Hello, I'm Scott and this is Unclottable. I wanted to start by saying sorry for the lack of posts recently. Been meaning to get stuff up for quite some time. Unfortunately, life's got in the way a little bit. A little while ago I asked some people to throw some questions at me in regards to haemophilia, anything that they wanted to know or didn't know, or just anything, just to get an idea of what people wanted to know about and what I could share from my experience living with the condition. So a few people got back to me and, gave me some questions. So I'm going to try and run through them and answer them as best as I can. So, the first one is, what happens when you cut yourself and is it dangerous? I'd say it's about as dangerous as the same as if a normal person cuts himself, really. I take my treatment and it covers it more or less. With haemophilia, it's not really external bleeding, if that makes sense. If I get a paper cut or anything like that, I don't really have any issues with it. I may bleed a little bit longer than people that have blood that works right, but other than that, I'm okay. The main issue is internal bleeding. So if I knock my arm against something, instead of getting a bruise, I'll bleed internally until the treatment sorts it out, if you will. Next one's, how does the injection help me? Well, it's a man-made clotting agent. With haemophilia, it means that there's a protein missing, the protein that makes your blood clot. My body doesn't do that, it doesn't make it, so I take the injection daily and it replaces what's missing to allow my blood to work correctly, and it allows me to live more or less a normal life, aside from sticking a needle in my arm every morning. Other than that, it's more or less gravy, I suppose. And what will happen if I don't take them? There's been times where I didn't get on with my injections. I was a little bit rebellious when I was younger and decided, I don't have haemophilia, I don't need to do these injections, I don't need that, I'll be absolutely fine, I'll treat as and when I hurt myself. So for me, I think I got about 5 months in before I realised that I do need my injections. I could go to bed one night and then spontaneously take a bleed into a joint, an internal bleed, like into my knee, something like that, and I'd wake up and I wouldn't be able to walk the next day. And that wasn't through any trauma, it was purely because I had no factor in my system, so I just started to bleed. So yes, if I don't take my injections, I would be in a very, very bad situation. Fortunately, I'm smarter now and I do like to make sure I do them. Is there a cure for haemophilia? They're working on it. It's certainly getting there. There's lots of fantastic treatments coming out now. A lot of things that they're working on in terms of gene therapy. I've been fortunate enough to meet some people who have had it, and it's working out very well for them. There's still a lot of grey areas and a lot of things that they're working on with that, but it's very exciting. And even with standard treatment, that's changing so much since I started receiving it. There's much better, much easier treatments coming along, and it's all very exciting. One thing I would say, if you do have haemophilia, now is probably the best time to be alive with haemophilia, because the treatments are getting that good, and people can actually live a normal life. They can do things that, I can do things that I was told when I was 10 years old that I couldn't do, but I can do that now because the treatment is there and it's in place and it allows me to do everything. So not a cure yet, but hopefully they're working on it, I suppose. What are the risks of playing sports? Again, it's the same risks that anyone would have playing sports, I suppose. If you're playing rugby and someone's charging at you, it's not really going to be a fun time. I didn't really play sports when I was younger. I was always told to keep away from contact sports, or anything that could cause any trauma to give me a bleed, I always kept away from. However, I've met haemophiliacs, or people who suffer from haemophilia, who have played sport, played football every day, had bleeds but still continued, and people that haven't, because of the way that their treatment has been worked out. So there's always going to be risks, but again, I think it all comes down to treatment and what you want to do. I know full well that if there's something that I've been wanting to do, I've made my treatment work for me. I've always spoke to my centre to find out the best ways to make it work, and gone from there, really. So you can do anything providing you've got the treatment in place. I wouldn't recommend boxing or UFC or anything like that. That would be taking it a little bit too far. But I do think with the right treatment, you can more or less do anything now. What sports can I play? None. I'm shocking at almost everything. I like to think I'm good at golf, but that's a sport that I took up because I was told that I couldn't play football or rugby or anything like that, and I actually started to enjoy the game. So that's a sport that I play. And do I suffer from other complications due to my haemophilia? I suppose for me, the biggest issue I've had, anything caused from my haemophilia, is arthritis. I took a lot of bleeds into my hands when I was younger, which wears away the cartilage when you have bleeds, and ended up giving me arthritis in my hands. There's not really much you can do for it. Hand exercises, I see physio and things like that, but that's the only thing that I've had from haemophilia. I don't know about other people. I'm not a doctor. I'm assuming there could be other things that could happen, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm assuming this one is from a relative, as it's saying, if I have haemophilia, why don't any of my male cousins have haemophilia? It's an easy answer and a difficult one, I suppose. It's a bit of a roll of a dice. So essentially, my mother carried the deficient X gene that was passed on to me, which meant I had haemophilia. There was a 50-50 chance of me getting that, and I'd say unfortunately, but that's what I got. I got haemophilia. So she got that gene more than likely from her mother. If not, it would have been a mutation. So it would have been a 50-50 chance of her getting it, and the same for her sisters. So it's a little bit of a roll of a dice, but more often than not, if the woman is a carrier, there's a 50-50 chance that when they have a son, they could have haemophilia. It's all a little bit technical, but it's a roll of a dice. It is what it is, I suppose. So yeah, those are the questions that I've got at this moment in time. I'd like to get some more. I'd like to do another one of these. If enough people are interested, then I'd love to do like a live stream Q&A and answer questions. But I don't have time to think about the answer. That would be really good. And I just want to touch on the reason I started Unclottable was to raise awareness for haemophilia, but also to give a place for other haemophiliacs to engage with other haemophiliacs and speak to people that understand what it's like. It's something that I never really had when I was younger. Not that I'm old, but Facebook wasn't overly massive when I was trying to come to terms with my haemophilia, and it could only be me. It might only be the way that I dealt with it, but I suppose mental health wise it really took a toll. when I was younger and, you know, feeling isolated and out of control of what was going on with me. So, you know, if there is anyone else that's felt the same way or is feeling the same way, I would like to reach out to them. I'd like them to, you know, if they want to, feel free to contact me. And, you know, I want to talk about, you know, everyone talks about the way haemophilia affects people physically, and we don't talk enough about how it can affect someone mentally. And that is really something that I want to raise, you know, and get people talking about, because, you know, you're not alone. You don't have to, you know, struggle with it. Everyone has ways that makes it work for them. I was, you know, 23, 24 before I really took control of doing my injections and making it work for me to, you know, allow me to do the likes of Tough Mudder, doing a skydive, and just living a better life. So, yeah, I just want to raise awareness for it. I do have another question. I wasn't going to put it on this, but you know what, I'm just going to call him out as well. My mate Rowan, I asked him if he had any questions about haemophilia. And the best one he could come up with was, what does your penis look like with haemophilia? So my answer to Rowan is very nice and probably better than yours. Other than that, as I said, I'm Scott. This is Unclottable. I look forward to your feedback. Any questions, anything I can do, give us a shout. Thank you.